And welcome to Louisiana Wrestling Now. It's that time of year, Ben. I am Robbie Dauterive, and I'm joined, as always, by Ben DiPalma. Ben, man, it's finally here. It's Mardi Gras time in New Orleans. Thoughts, Ben?
Super excited about this weekend. Ready to get up there on Friday. I know, we've been following this all year. It feels like from day one we said the state meet was going to be really tight this year based on what we knew was coming back. And I think we were right.
Yeah, look, Ben is so focused on the state meet. I just welcomed him in by saying it's Mardi Gras time in New Orleans, and he didn't even flinch. And Ben, we know what time of year it is. It's state tournament time. And, you and I have been excited about this all season. It's been a very competitive season. It's been a fun season on Louisiana Wrestling Now. We hope that we brought you some really good coverage, and we're going to continue to do that with live reports throughout the weekend. And as usual, our state wrap-up show. So we're going to kick things off tonight. We've got 3 of the 4 coaches who have the most seeds and the most projected team points going into the tournament. And that is 3-time defending state champion from Jesuit, John Aurelian, from Catholic High, Tommy Prohaska, and from Holy Cross in his first year, Grant Hughes. Welcome, guys.
Thanks, Robbie.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate you.
All right, look, Grant, I'm going to kick it off with you. First year into this, what is your team feeling now heading into the state tournament, and you as a first-year head coach, how are you handling this week?
You said it coming in. This has been such a competitive season, a fun season for us. Our mindset is this is the next tournament on the schedule. We've put so much energy, so much positive momentum into what we can do. Our mindset is to approach this with gratitude, to approach this with enthusiasm, and to understand that these opportunities come and go quickly. This is going to be a fast process. These rounds, these matches are going to come and go quickly. It's important that we know what we want and go after it. And we're really excited.
Coach Tommy, man, I didn't even realize you were 52 years old. Okay, I read the article and I'm like, no, I really didn't, Tommy. I knew you when you were a wrestler at Catholic High, wrestling for Kenny Spellman, man. You've been doing this for so long, and you've been doing it at such a high level. For you, I called you today, and as usual, I was fired up about something. I said, what's going on, Coach? I'm on the couch eating Cheetos, and I'm like, dude, that guy is cool as a cucumber. Tommy, man, is it status quo for you? How do you treat this week?
Yeah, the difference is you have less kids in the room. You kind of kick the JV guys out, so nobody gets hurt. But you just go back to practice, and so warm-ups are the same, drills are the same. Music is depending on the day. Today was kind of a country day in the room. So it just depends. And again, just like I told you earlier, you can't wrestle the state meet tonight. If you do, you're exhausted, and it's not going to work out well for you in the end. And so, like Coach Hughes said, you take it one round, one match at a time, and see what happens.
Yeah, and for you, John, man, 3 years ago you came in, we thought this thing was kind of up for grabs. The last 2 years, it wasn't easy, but your team's really stepped up. I know this year you've been through with a lot of injuries and really trying to fill your lineup out. How do you feel entering the state tournament about your team?
It's definitely season-wise been a little different than the last 2 seasons. We had to kind of readjust some goals and all that. And, but the way I keep putting it to the guys, it's been a season of development where I don't see us as the same team we were in October, November when we were first starting. There's been a lot of improvement. So a lot of this week is really just, it's kind of my favorite saying to the guys, like, trust the work you've put in. So I think for the most part, the guys are feeling that. It's keeping it very relaxed this week and not making it more important than it is. It's another tournament to go to. Obviously it's the state tournament and it's hard to balance all that. But, I think the boys are doing a really good job. I think they see the progress they've made throughout the year, and I think they're ready to go fight come Friday, Saturday.
That's awesome. And so the state seeds came out last night. If you haven't seen them, we're going to break those down at the end of the show. We'll be joined by Paul Klein, and we'll break them down with Ben. I'm going to let Ben ask a couple of questions in a couple of seconds. But what I wanted to do is something that I've done every year when the state seedings come out. And just to show our audience how close this tournament's going to be and can be. So I assigned placement points from first place, 16, all the way to eighth place with 1 point. And I came up with Catholic High, 88 points, Holy Cross, 88 points, Brother Martin, 83, and Jesuit, 74, along with Sandoval with 39. And that's just based, not any prediction I make, that's just based on where the guy is seated and giving him a point for that finish. Now, we know that doesn't hold true all the time. But for you guys in general, and I'll let whoever wants to answer this first, how hard are you focusing in on your team that bonus points, majors, techs, and pins, how important are they, and what do you do to cinch that up the week of the state tournament? Anybody?
I mean,
The biggest emphasis for us is that we can tangibly take into our training is the best time to get to our turn is immediately off of our takedowns with quality setups, quality finishes, really just looking for those points in transition, being hammers on top. Those bonus points are going to be everything. We have all just in-house understood this is going to be such a competitive atmosphere, respecting these teams, respecting these wrestlers, coaches, bonus points, commitment, discipline, that extra percent, that intangible is going to be the separator.
Tommy?
Yeah, I told my guys today, hey, here are the seeds. They mean absolutely nothing until, we're done on Saturday. If we live to that number, great. If you improve on the number, even better, But the big thing is to understand if you do stumble and you're an upper seed, that you don't shut it down because you're going to have the regret for yourself and your team because you were still concerned about what had happened that you can't change. And so, again, that idea of being able to flush it, I think is pretty important as well.
John, what about your team?
yeah, I mean, bonuses, in the last, since I've been back at Jesuit, we've had 2 tournaments with Catholic that have come down to very narrow margin there, so
4
it's
points.
4 points, so even with so many new kind of starters in the lineup and all, they can look back in the past and realize, 1 point makes a big difference here and there. I was pointing out some things at Classic and just how close it really was at Classic for them, and a lot of the guys didn't quite realize that, and it's like, guys, it's the difference of keeping that guy on his back and getting that pin rather than the tech, and so luckily it's been discussed a lot throughout the past few years because we've had so many close tournaments and the Classic last year, we lost by, I think it was 3 or 4 points to Turlings, right? So we have a lot of examples we're able to kind of point out and say, guys, that, those little points add up after 2 days of wrestling at the state tournament, so it's something talked about a bunch, but, not stressed as much as, hey, just focus and go do your thing, right? But take advantage when you get a guy on his back or something.
Yeah, advance, but get those bonus points.
Yeah.
Ben, I'm gonna bring Nick Shields in from Brother Martin, and I'm gonna let Ben fire a couple of questions at these guys. How you doing, Nick?
Doing good. How are you?
Doing well. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, so my big question, and I think all 4 of you kind of realize it, is that you're going to need your wrestlers that maybe aren't seeded to score big points for you. You're not expecting them to go out there and score 30 points for the team, but the difference between going 0-2 or 1-2 and going 3-2 in this tournament is going to be the big difference between the four favorites. So how are you balancing with those guys, trying to stress they need to be focused and that what they need from the team versus not trying to put too much pressure on the back half of your lineup? Go, Grant, you start. You're the youngest one. You got to go first.
All right. Yeah, that's initiation. So, it's for us, it's really just a thing that's been a swell of relationships and work since the off season and relationships with many of these guys, understanding that we have guys that we need our winners to win. We need our winners to go out, get bonus points, separate themselves, and put on the best performance. But for these guys that you mentioned, the unseeded guys that maybe are going to be presented some of these toughest tougher matchups early, or might have to wrestle back and do it for that sake of the team. For us, surrendering that outcome, putting the focus on just putting the best quality performance that individual wrestler can give. I mean, it was said a few minutes ago, just trusting your preparation. So with that, we've had some fortunate opportunities to compete out of state, compete against these tough teams here. Everyone bleeds red. We know that our unseeded guys are just going to be eager to compete, grateful for it. But it is a great challenge, and, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I think with the young guys or the guys that aren't seeded, they need to know what their role is, and everybody has a role. And so, you tell a kid, all right, we're not expecting you to shock the world or make the finals as an unseeded guy, but if you do, great. But your job is to do X, Y, and Z on the good side, X, Y, Z on the bad side. And if you do that, you've contributed to your team, and then you go from there. And so, again, it's not the pressure of you have to place. It's just go wrestle, be yourself, and then you'll end up being in a good spot.
Yeah, for Nick and John, how much, obviously throughout the year, you're trying to tell yourself and your coaching staff, worry about us, worry about our guys, don't worry about what Holy Cross is doing or Catholic's doing or whoever. But the state meet's different. So how much do you feel like you're going to be looking out the side of your eye Friday and Saturday, checking the mats for the other three teams to see kind of where they're going and what bonus points they're picking up?
Is there time to do that?
You're going to do it regardless, right?
I don't know, man. It's a whirlwind, man. You're trying to support your team and get the guys focused for the next match. And I feel like at the end of that first day, you're coming up for air, trying to keep those guys positive, roll momentum, focus on tangibles, not intangibles of who you might have next or whatever. But I mean, that's a full day right there without worrying about what other people are doing. And you can't control it either,
Yeah, I mean, I'd say very similar, especially that first day, man. There's such a crazy day. You're running around, especially with that blood round being Friday night most of the time. Oh, it's just, you finally kind of get to take a deep breath at the end of Friday. And I can picture myself those Fridays of state tournaments at the end going, hey, where's everybody else at? And start looking at brackets and all. But, for the most part, for us, we try to keep it on ourselves, be the best version of yourself, and you go do that, good things will probably happen. So, obviously you're all, especially a tournament like this one, knowing as close as it's going to be, you're going to be keeping an eye. But, that Friday of that state tournament, you're so busy with those 14 guys rolling around. You really don't get opportunities to check it. Now, I'll say in the semifinals, that just the listening to the crowd, you can tell what's going on most of the time. So you're definitely kind of paying attention through those semis. But Friday, really, it's, hey, go do what you're supposed to do, focus in on your stuff, and then go be present in the moment and see what happens.
Yeah, I like you saying that, Coach, because that's the big 9 + 2 + 2, right? The big 13-point semifinal round, which, man, it swings the crowd, the momentum, everything. So you guys, man, I want
to add this too. I don't know if I can say this or not, but also getting to the end of Friday in both days is a priority for me as well.
Oh yeah. Oh, well, good one there. Right. Look, good luck, Nick. Good luck. Hey, your good thing is you can look back on that with a little bit of humor, right? Yeah, I guess so. So, I wanted to bring you guys on and talk about your teams and the wrestling, but you guys got me kind of a little fired up. Okay, so before I let you go, we got to hit on this, man, because we got a big proposal coming up in a week or so, and it's to use, without getting into it too deep, it's to use PowerPoints to have the 24 best wrestlers in D1, the 16 best in D2, and the 8 best in D3. Am I correct, Ben?
Yeah, and the 16 best on the girls division.
Yes, and how great would that be? Because you guys hit on some issues for me. Okay, the state tournament needs to be wrestled where you go in the morning, you get your match in, then you come back for your quarterfinal match. Then we have the blood round on Saturday. Then you've got your semis and your finals. And you as coaches have time to coach your kids during the day. I remember, man, walking out in the 90s, walking out on the levee at the convention center and grabbing and getting your team out there, they're able to relax, even when it was cold. Hey, guys, let's get some fresh air. Just sitting on the levee. And those bonding moments for the team were it was great. And I think my biggest anxiety on that day was, hey, guys, you can go home to Metairie, West Bank, whatever. But there are parades in New Orleans. And if you get caught in traffic, I need you back here an extra hour early. So that was a big anxiety. Now what we're doing, we're getting to the gym at 6 a.m. on Friday morning. Most likely you poor dudes are going to be coaching all day. And your kids aren't going to be able to leave. We're going to probably strut out of there. They're going to knock things off at 9 o'clock. We don't know what round we're going to be in. I just don't think that's fair. So how important is it? I'm going to start with you, John. How important is it that we kind of look into this proposal and say, hey, this is the best for wrestling? Because as I told you guys off the air, I just picked a random weight class in Division I. A random weight class. And if you're someone out there who's on the fence about this, here are some of the records in Division I in a random weight class. 1-11, 0-4, 4-19, 6-12, 12-17 at the state championship tournament. John, what do you think?
I mean, on a positive, the numbers are there for wrestling now, Oh, so I mean, that's a very positive thing. We have that many people that we have to start looking at something like this because we saw it last year at the state tournament. We're bumping guys, and I remember when my 57-pounder got bumped from his third place match. Hey, we're going to pull you over here, right? And that's a big match. He's a senior, third place. So but the issue has become we are sending too many to the state tournament, right? So the positive is that wrestling is growing. The numbers are there, right? We're seeing the growth in numbers and all these programs, new programs are popping up. And, so with that, we have to look at that state tournament and what's the most productive way to do this for the kids. And I think this system works well. When you look at it, if you go on Rank Wrestling now, they broke it down to show you exactly who qualifies for the state tournament, if this is in place right now. When you look, I mean, the right people are getting in. And I always think motivation helps, right? So if you're one of those guys that doesn't get in that year, well, hey, there's your motivation to go get better, go win more matches, and go get yourself into the state tournament the next year. But, I think it's important that people look into it and see the positive of this because ultimately we have to make some changes because there's too many people at that state tournament. You can see it with the schedule, getting messed up last year at that state tournament. And it looks like it'll probably be fairly similar this year, even being prepared for it. It's just a lot of people wrestling in that one tournament. And it's a lot of matches you have to get through for 2 days. So there's something that has to happen here. And I think this proposal is a very good proposal to put in place. And then if there's kinks and things we need to adjust, we can adjust down the line. But I think ultimately we've grown in numbers. Now we have to look at the next problem and find the next solutions to keep correcting our sport and keep moving it forward here.
Yeah, and Ben, what specifically can fans out there do to maybe get in touch with their principal, athletic director, and let them know that, hey, this is the best thing for the sport?
Well, I think that's the most important thing. So, I mean, the way the LHSAA works is it's a principal's vote. And it's for this proposal, because it's a wrestling proposal, it's only going to be the wrestling schools voting. So I think if you're a coach or a fan and you think this proposal is what needs to be done for the future of the sport, it's a phone call to the athletic director and to the principal and saying, look, you need to look at this proposal before you walk into that meeting. I think they just reset the date today. I want to say it's February 24th off the top of my head. It's in my email. So you got about a month or so, a little bit less than a month to talk to your principal, talk to your AD and say, look, this is what we need. And we need your support on it. Because again, it's only going to be those schools that have wrestling, they're going to vote on this proposal, and it's a majority vote. So you just need 50% plus one vote for it to pass.
Tommy, I'm going to let you close it out. Your thoughts on this?
It's one of those things that some people are upset about. They want to go back to regionals and old school and that kind of stuff. And I understand that, but the way that the state's spread out right now, it doesn't make sense. And like John said, if we need to tweak it, then we can tweak it. I know that Division III guys are a little upset that it's only 8 people per. and they think we're trying to squeeze out the division. It's not true at all. We're trying to save their division, to be honest with you, because LHSA might go ahead and combine Division 2 and 3 together. Then there's Division 3. There's really small schools are in trouble, and so there's a way to be able to preserve them. It also allows, like you were talking about, in the 90s, being able to walk out and that kind of stuff. Then you can go back to sessions. You can go to where it's not an all-day deal for your team. Division 2, and the girls come in the morning, run on 10 mats. Division 1 comes in the afternoon, runs the afternoon. Division 3 comes in on Saturday because they're an 8-man bracket, and they run around, and everybody's in the same spot. So it makes it easier. The logistics of running the tournament, you don't have to get there at 6 in the morning. If you think about it, we're the only event right now where athletes have to be up at 5 in the morning to get ready for their competition.
That's
my
killer.
kids swam and that kind of stuff, and they didn't start swimming until 8 o'clock in the morning, with warm-ups and that kind of stuff. And so it's not good for the kids. It's not good, like you said, for the coaches, the emotions that we go through anyway. And so I think it's a better way of looking at it. And again, it can be adjusted and tweaked. But yeah, if you have a Rank Wrestling account, they put up a special spot for us on their site, and you can go and look at it. And it's a situation where you're worried about your kid who wouldn't make the tournament. You can actually go throw them into a different weight and see where they would fall in. So there's ways to be able to always know where your kids are going to be with that. So I think it's the best that we can do right now. And again, other sports do the power rankings in the state of Louisiana. So.
Yeah. So look, guys, we've got our Division 2 coaches standing by. Want to keep them too long, but best of luck to all of you. We'll be there throughout the tournament, and we'll be back after this commercial break.
If you think about measurement, it's all around us. Michelle really is about showing the world what measurement can do. We're involved with ensuring any type of measurement device is always accurate. With our business starting in 1947, since then we've grown pretty significantly. We're operating in 12 different states, and we have near-term plans to grow that very aggressively. We're on our way.
We are your neighbors.
We're your sons and daughters.
We're learning valuable life and job skills.
We're getting an education and earning degrees and certifications.
We are proud to serve.
We are Louisiana.
We are your Louisiana Army National Guard.
Learn more about part-time service at nationalguard.com/LA.
And welcome back to Louisiana Wrestling Now. I am joined by North DeSoto head coach Dustin Burton, St. Thomas More head coach Kerry Bowmans, and Archbishop Rummel head coach Rod Cusacks. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you,
All right, guys. So Tuesday before the state tournament, Kerry, what was practice like today?
We didn't practice.
What'd you do today?
No, just kidding. Just the normal routine, man. Hitting our drills, making sure that we're crisp in our transitions, and just going through what we need to hit in those tournaments. So it's normal practice, a drill, live, some situational stuff, and that's about it.
Nothing special, right?
Nothing special. Not at this
point. Get ready for the next tournament. That's what most of the coaches said. Dustin, how about you guys? What are you guys cinching up this week before you head into the state tournament?
Well, kind of similar. Just don't want to change much, right? We've been going pretty hard these last 4 weeks, so I always like to take this week and really pull back on the reins, let their bodies recover and heal, and then after about 7 days, they get a little hungry to scrap again. So we started off the day with a little handball and had some fun.
Yeah, look, that was something I really believed in, kind of shutting things down the Saturday before and then coming in and getting good hard drill in. I think we swam one day. We usually go for a run in the park. Rod, what about your guys, man? What's the formula for the Rummel Raiders the week of state?
Just taking it easy, making sure nobody gets hurt. Going for about an hour each day, like you said, just drilling, trying to stay sharp, critiquing little things that they need to work on, and kind of looking at the brackets and kind of seeing, who we might have in the quarters and trying to prepare that way.
Yeah, so the seeds came out, and we're going to let our audience know we're not going to go through the seeds in each weight class. But as I told the Division I guys, we usually I've always assigned points just based on where you're seated. And where we're seated, it looks like we've got a 4-team race, St. Thomas More, with placement points equaling 101 points, and they're seeded to have 10 state placers. North DeSoto seeded to have 9 state placers, but with 115 placement points. Turlings Catholic seeded to have the most state placers with 12, but with 94 points. And right on their heels, man, which is going to really shape this into a 4-team battle, Archbishop Rummel with 92 points, and you've got Rod 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 guys, 9 guys seeded to play. So you four teams have kind of set yourselves apart. So going into this state tournament, what's the word for your guys, Kerry? One match at a time, team points matter. What's the message you're sending?
You're prepared. You're prepared to go compete, and obviously bonus points are key at this point. We know the numbers are tight with all 4 teams, so that makes for an exciting time, man. It's gonna be a pretty fun tournament this year for sure. So yeah, it's all preparation. When we're prepared, we're ready to go do this, and when we can pick up bonus points, let's do it.
Yeah, and Dustin, for you guys, man, state championship a couple of years ago, what would it mean to your guys to get back on top this weekend?
I think they'd enjoy it. They've had a really fun season, and I can't tell you how much we're excited just to have the opportunity to get to wrestle one more time for postseason or for the Nationals, I guess.
And who are the guys, Dustin, that you need to step up for you? Might not be a number 1 seed, but just throw a couple of names out of some guys that really need to step up this weekend.
Well, I think at 106, Zachary Gonzalez. He's a freshman, but he's got a lot of experience. Club kid, grew up in club and middle school, and got an older brother that's on the coaching staff that was a multiple state finalist for us. And I think he'll do good for us. He was at 13 all year, but he's not seeded, so we're expecting big things from him. And then our 50 and 57, LJ Williams and Nicholas Bailey, both those guys didn't make the seeding chart, but they wrestled a really, really tough schedule, and I think they're prepared and know what it takes to find some wins this weekend.
Yeah, and Ben, I'll let you ask the coaches, Coach Cusacks, and then the other coaches some questions.
Yeah, just starting with Dustin. Dustin, you guys have had a pretty tough schedule this year, but mostly in Oklahoma and Texas. Was that a strategy at the beginning of the year to try to wrestle a bunch of out-of-state stuff? Because I know other than state duels, a lot of people hadn't seen your team, and I think a lot of people down south are kind of just wondering, like, how good is North DeSoto this year? I mean, we've seen the seeds. You look like you're loaded. We just haven't seen the wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, it's maybe a little more this year than last year, but we've always, since I've been here, I have kind of a mindset towards it is, you got to go compete with the big dogs to be a big dog, right? So, nothing fancy about it. We just try to surround our kids with high caliber wrestling every weekend. Not that we can't get that in South Louisiana, we can. But if you lived in North Louisiana and it took 4 hours to go to Oklahoma City or Tulsa, or 4 hours to go to New Orleans, you'd probably go to Oklahoma City or Tulsa.
Yeah, I would.
And then Rod, for you, I mean, right now, you guys talking about your seeds and your points, you guys are kind of the 4th of the 4 favorites. What have you told your team about coming in as kind of the underdog or the guys that are on the outside that have a shot at this title? I mean, how are they taking that this week?
Well, I told them, when I was at De La Salle, we were the underdogs every year, even the year after we won state. I love the underdog role. I have a couple of kids that have been seeded that I do pretty good. My 190 and 215 pounder. They haven't wrestled a lot this year. One of them had mono early in the year, and I'm just telling everything is practice for the state tournament. So it doesn't matter what you did during the
Look, we kind of lost Rod. So Gary, I'll just jump to you. I asked this for the four guys that are in Division I. What are you telling your guys that aren't seeded, or your guys maybe that are seeded low? That 6, 7, 8 seed, like in terms of their role, but also try not to put too much pressure on them scoring a bunch of points to help you guys get to the title.
Yeah, it's simple, man. I mean, you got to do your part. You got to do your job. You go out and you can squeak out a win, and that's points for the team, man. That's really all we're asking you to do is go out there, compete hard, and if you can squeak out one win, that all those points help tremendously, especially with this tight race. Any point is a good point.
Hey, you guys might have heard us speaking to the Division I coaches about the long day on Friday. Man, I really believe that affects wrestlers. And Coach Prohaska let me in a little secret tonight. Parents aren't allowed to leave the arena. I don't know how I would have done it if I was a parent. My ADHD, I'd have been tunneling out of the arena. Kerry, man, how do you prepare your guys? I want all of you to answer this. How do you prepare your guys to get there at 6, wake up call at 5:30 a.m.? Get to the arena at 6:45, go in, weigh in, and you might not be walking out there to 9 or 10 o'clock at night. How do you prepare your team for that, Kerry?
Best you can, I guess, really. Quite honestly, man, one of the things that I ask my guys to do is, you got to get yourself prepared for every day. So I ask them to get up as early as they possibly can, not just get up, jump out of bed and head to school. Why don't you wake up a little earlier, get yourselves prepared for school. That way your day is not so chaotic and you can have some discipline in it. So, do they do it every time? No, but at least we ask them to do it, and some of them do. And that helps, a little bit, because these early morning tournaments can be tough. They're difficult, especially for a wrestler that's, you're going all day long. You're sitting for a few hours, and you got to go compete again. You got to get back up. You got to go warm up again. So it can take its toll, and it takes its toll on the coaches too. I mean, that's a long day. It's a long day.
Hey, look, Ben and I are going to be sitting at that head table. It takes a toll on us, and we're not doing anything. I mean, I really feel for you guys. Dustin, how do you personally handle that long day, not getting a chance to get your team and kind of regroup them after each round, just having to go all day?
Well, for us, we get one of the suites in the Coliseum that we know of, an owner of one of the suites. So that helps for our coaches, and our administration goes in there and hangs out. And then ultimately, I mean, I don't want to be the oddball, but I love wrestling. If I only had one kid in the tournament, I would be there all day long. For me, that's it, I guess.
We know it's going to be a terrific race in Division I and a terrific race in Division II. We'll talk a little bit about Division III later in the show, but just want to wish you guys the best of luck, and thanks for taking time to come on out this evening.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Robbie.
We're going to head to a commercial break, and
Good luck,
we'll
guys.
be back, and we'll be joined by Paul Klein and, of course, Ben DiPalma.
We are your neighbors.
We're your sons and daughters.
We're learning valuable life and job skills.
We're getting an education and earning degrees and certifications.
We are proud to serve.
We are Louisiana.
We are your Louisiana Army National Guard.
Learn more about part-time service at nationalguard.com/LA.
If you think about measurement, it's all around us. Michelle really is about showing the world what measurement can do. We're involved with ensuring any type of measurement device is always accurate. With our business starting in 1947, since then we've grown pretty significantly. We're operating in 12 different states, and we have near-term plans to grow that very aggressively. We're on our way.
And welcome back to Louisiana Wrestling Now. We're now joined by Paul Klein. Paul, how's the recovery going from another knee surgery?
Hey, welcome. It's going well. Went to the doctor today, so I'm able to bend the knee for the first time in 2 weeks, so that's promising.
That's good, man. It's good. So state wrestling tournament, bad knee. You're used to that, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, you are. All right,
Yes.
So we've been waiting to discuss these seeds. I know people are tuning in. The show's going to be dropped tomorrow, and we're going to be able to unveil these seeds right now. So let's bring them up. And we know they've gotten out around the state, but we haven't had a chance to go through them yet and dissect them. Paul, you didn't catch our segment below, but you and I have talked about this off the air. If you break down the placement points for this Division I tournament, we've got, and when I say placement points, if you're just joining us, we assign 16 points because that's the amount of advanced placement points you get for finishing first, based on your seeds, all the way down to an A seed, where we assign 1 team point. Going into Division I, Catholic is projected to have 9 place finishers, 88 points. Holy Cross, 7 place finishers, 88 points. Brother Martin, 8 place finishers, 83 points. Jesuit, 7 place finishers, 74 points. And Santa Ma, 6 place finishers, 39 placement points. Now, what else do you add in? You add in advancement points for each match, 2 points in the championship bracket, 1 point in consolation, and then you add in the almighty big points, the pin points, 2 points, technical falls, 1.5, and a major decision, 1 team point. We look at 106 first. The 2 guys who dominated the weight class this year, Fontenot from Brother Martin, Evans from Catholic, followed by Hollis of Slidell, Gervais of Holy Cross, De Leon of Santa Ma, Renee of East Ascension, Rodrigue of Houghton, Richie of St. Paul's. If you see a 9th seed there, the 9th seeds are sitting there in case someone in the bracket, a seeded wrestler, doesn't make weight or get sick or withdraws. But that person does not drop into the 9th spot. That person, if all remains the same, will be drawn into the bracket. So for you guys, Ben, for you at 106, what are some key matches that you see that could have an outcome on this team title?
I'm not sure of a match, but Gravals is from Holy Cross is who I'm watching because he got that real bad draw at Classic in the pigtail with the out-of-state kid and didn't score any points for Holy Cross, right? And that's not going to happen here. He's going to score points for Holy Cross, and it's going to be interesting to see. He's a young guy, right, an 8th grader. You know, where does he place and how many points does he score to really kind of shove Holy Cross towards the top of the team race?
Yeah, and for me, I see a big match right away in the quarterfinals with Gervais against De Leon of Santa Ma, because De Leon's a guy who's a senior, and it's going to be a battle for this 8th grader to go up against that senior in that match, and that could have a significant, because that's two advancement points right there, and we know we're fighting for every point. So, Paul, you are familiar with the top 2 guys. I know you saw the Louisiana Classic finals with Fontenot. Does Evans have an answer for Fontenot in this tournament, or, in your opinion, is Fontenot a little bit too strong for him at this point?
I would say I was impressed with Evans' ability to get in on the legs of Fontenot. So I'm sure Coach Tommy, Coach Keyshawn, they watched that film. And they said, okay, look, hey, our offense was there in the first period. We just didn't finish our shots. We got in 2 weird scrambles. How about we finish one of those and it changes the whole match? So I think Evans, I know he's an 8th grader, but does not act like an 8th grader. So I'm sure he put on the film and he got with Coach Keyshawn and they went right back to the mat. So Fontenot's going to be tough, strong, senior. It'll be interesting, but I think Evans is going to throw everything he can at him, knowing that they've already had that 1 scrap.
Yeah, I see a battle really for first and second between the 2 guys who are seated up there. I expect both those guys to advance. I see a real dogfight with the rest of the place finishers in the weight class. I think the fact that Gervais Young, Hollis has had a great year at Slidell. Then you got the 5 through 8 seeds, I think are all have the potential to get in that consolation semifinal and place top 6. So I think 106 can be a tough weight class. 113, Ben, I'm going to let you talk about 113 because a lot of people see the record that Jagger Martinez came in with, and they wonder, why is he a number 1 seed? Ben, answer that question for the audience.
Yeah, I know 113 was a real crazy weight class to seed. And we have set criteria, right, in the wrestling handbook on how we seed things. And so Martinez is 1-0 this year at 113, but he's got a criteria over Ty of Dutchtown and Alia that goes back to last year. The last 2 criteria that you seed wrestlers on is how they did at the state meet the prior year. Last year, Martinez and Ty were both in the 106 weight class. Martinez placed 4th. Ty didn't place, so that put Martinez over Ty. Alia last year got hurt. He didn't wrestle in the state meet. And the very last criteria that we have in the book says that it's how the wrestler did compared to the other wrestler at the state meet in any weight class. And so the committee said Alia didn't wrestle non-placer versus Martinez 4th place. That pushed Martinez all the way to the 1 seed based on criteria, right? There's another interesting thing here with this criteria, and that's Bowser sitting at number 6, who has a fantastic year and is one of the best wrestlers in this weight class, but he had an early season loss to Keller that was never rectified. They never came back up against one another. They never had a common opponent. So that pushed Bowser all the way down to 6, which for me makes the most interesting quarterfinal matchup, Bowser versus Ty. We've watched Aiden Ty all year. He was dominant in the Baton Rouge City finals, but Bowser and Ty are super tight to one another. I think that's going to be a war in the quarterfinals at 3 and 6.
Yeah, and look, if Jesuit and Holy Cross are going to have an opportunity to come out ahead in this team race, I believe Bro and Roniger have to find a way to break through and get into that top 6. And me, the match I'm circling right now, another team title match is going to be Martinez against Hanneman. Hanneman coming down from 120. Dude, don't put your head to your knee. Don't give him the opportunity. You know, if he catches you in a cradle, you're done. And I think that's going to be a significant match on a way to a team title for either one of those teams if they have an opportunity there. That'll be a big one. So that takes us to the 120-pound weight class. We've got our defending state champ as the number 1 seed, Blanchard from Southside, followed by 3-time state finalist Barnett of Jesuit, and then Paria of Holy Cross, Morvant of Lafayette, Ritchie of St. Paul's, McIntyre of John Ehret, Taylor of Destrehan, and Wilson of Terrebonne. Don't know a lot about the 7 and 8 guys. Do know a lot about Zane Blanchard. And, man, in my opinion, if the winner of Barnett and Paria, who I expect to advance to those semis, if that winner is going to beat Blanchard, you got to find a way to take this kid down. Paul, we talked about him earlier today. He just stays in such great position. How do you beat this kid?
They have to find a takedown, like you said. I think Paria was close at the Classic in the semis. He almost got a takedown at the end, or did get one. So I think it's just staying in good position. You got to match level with level, and they got to find somewhere to get this guy moving. I mean, he stays boxy, stays in good position. How do you get him kind of guessing, essentially, to where you can kind of break his composure?
And, Ben, this is a weight class that's not really Baton Rouge heavy at all. In fact, the top 9 seeds, no one. Is there anybody out there in Baton Rouge that can kind of come crash the party at 120?
So Catholic was depending on Eli. They thought Eli Vincent for Catholic was going to get down to 113. He struggled to make it, and so he's going to be at 120. He's not a bad wrestler. He's very limited on the matches this year. He suffered a concussion early in the year, has really been out most of the year. So he's a guy that maybe can make some noise. The other guy that I got circled in this weight class is McIntyre from John Ehret. He is by all accounts, a really, really good athlete that we haven't seen a lot of this year. And so I'm interested to see what he does in the weight class.
Yeah, and the Catholic wrestler is a good wrestler.
Yeah, he's
he
good.
is a good wrestler. And if he could come back, boy, talking about spoiling the party here, we got a 120 in Division 2 that we'll get to later who is really capable of spoiling a party. But let's talk about 126. Man, in my opinion, Kirk has been absolutely dominant this year. He's going to be really tough to beat. The guys who are going to fight to get to the finals against him are Smith of Fontainebleau, Belsom of Jesuit, and then on the top half, you have Graffinini against a very tough Cowan. We watched those Cowan brothers wrestle this year. Larkins of Airline, Gentry of Parkway, and McWilliams of Holy Cross. Thoughts on that weight class, Ben?
Yeah, I love the Graffinini Cowan matchup in the quarters. I think that's a dogfight. I don't know who I'd pick in that match to win. I've been really impressed with Cowan all year. He's a gymnast. His core, we watched Kirk beat him in the city finals in Baton Rouge. But man, Kirk was getting frustrated because Cowan was so difficult to move and score on. And so I think he's going to give Graffinini fits in the quarters. And then we don't know anything about Gentry from Parkway. We haven't seen him all year. So that's, when you don't know anything about a guy, that always kind of worries you as a coach because you're like, who is this person? Or is he just some freak that moved into Shreveport from Oklahoma that nobody knows about? And he's going to come in and kind of wreck the bracket.
All right. Well, I know a lot about Christian Gentry because I'm his mindset coach.
There you go.
And Christian Gentry was a finalist at the Ken Cole tournament last year. He has had a good, solid season. He's 28-7 on the year. He is a guy that, he didn't get to come to the Louisiana Classic, and he wanted to come to the Classic this year. So I expect him to really be in that fight to get in. And then McWilliams from Holy Cross. Dude,
I thought that was a bad seed.
Yeah, he's an 8 seed. He's got a win over Graffinini this year. So if it's 8-5 to place, that loser of that Graffinini Cowan match is not going to have a cakewalk. So that's going to be really shape up to be a good race at 126. At 132, we've got Sellers of Fontainebleau, your number 1 seed. Then he's followed by Oob of Holy Cross, state champion. Cassio of Brother Martin, 2-time state champion. Thibodeau of Sulphur, who gave Sellers all he could handle in the public school championships. And then Sonia of Catholic, who was a Louisiana Classic finalist as an 8th grader. Dude, this is a deep weight class, followed by Bro of Santa Mar, Boudreaux of Southside, and Dan of Live Oak. Ben, I'm going to let you kick it first, man. What are
most
your
fun weight class
impressions
to
with
watch?
this weight class?
Mark my word, this will be the most fun weight class to watch in Bossier. I think 1 through 5 can win it. Thibodeau from Sulphur is a freshman who's a stud. And Robbie, we were there at the public school championships when he was Sellers. I thought he had Sellers beat a couple of times. Some close calls went against him. We saw the Oob Cascio match at Classic. It was down to the wire. Sonia was up on Sellers in the 3rd period in their match earlier in the year. Flip a coin, man. I don't know who's going to win this weight class.
Yeah, it's going to be a battle. Paul, Cassio against Oob, a battle of guys that have seen each other a couple of times this year. And for those two guys, the losers got to come back and really wrestle through because both of those teams are going to be in contention. That's one of those classic state tournament moments where you're going to have to say, hey, you got to reset. You got to move forward because there's a state champion who's going to wrestlebacks,
Right.
That takes us to 138 where we got just an overwhelming favorite, Ozias Gray, one of the better years that I can remember for a Louisiana wrestler. For him to go out and take care of business against Evans from Catholic in the Louisiana Classic finals, really impressive. Followed by Klein of Holy Cross, the 3rd seed, Britt of Destrehan, the 4th seed, Epinett of Dutchtown, 5th seed, Roberts of Zachary, 6th, Myers of Covington, 7th, Wilson of Terrebonne for 8th. Man, I really see this semifinal match between Evans's Klein as a huge one. What do you think, Ben?
You said it earlier, the Holy Cross and Catholic, according to the seed points,
tied,
right? I mean, you're talking about this match being a huge pivotal match in this tournament. Now, Evans beat Klein at Classic by a few points, but it was a pretty good match. And I just think you can draw a line behind Osiris from the rest of the weight class, but I think you can draw a line between Klein and Britt, because I think Evans and Klein are the cream of the crop for everybody left. And so that semifinals match is going to be huge.
It is. And I would expect the loser of that match to come back and get third and have to get bonus points, because the winner of that match, I don't believe, is scoring any more points. It's one of those things we say, man, you can almost get as many points by coming back getting third. So if you can get a fall in the consolation semis and a fall in the third and fourth place match, because I just hate to say it, beating 52-2 Osiris Gray in the finals, as I tell people sometimes, bring a gun and a bat in case the gun jams. And it's really going to be tough, but the loser of that match is going to have a lot on their shoulders to battle back. And that's going to take us to 144. In the 144-pound weight class, I believe you've got the top three guys. You've got Crail from Holy Cross, Amity from East Ascension, McDermott from Brother Martin, Seizure from Live Oak, the 4 seed, Brickley from Catholic, 5, Mertz from Mandeville, 6, Signorelli Jesuit, 7, and Oles of Acadiana, the A seed. Man, that's another weight class where I think it really separates between after 3. I think 1, 2, and 3. Crail's got a little bit of an advantage now based on the way he wrestled Jonas Rebstock, and we all saw the stall call. Tough call there. I think he could have won that match. But then, man, Amity and McDermott have had 3 matches this year, McDermott winning the first one, and then Amity behind in the next 2 matches, really catching McDermott. Ben, you commented at the Classic how good McDermott looked, but then we both watched him get caught. What are your thoughts? What's your prediction for that outcome in this state semifinal?
How can you bet against Amity at this point? I mean, the kid just shows up. He shows up and wins big matches. I think that's another one of those matches that everyone's going to circle on Saturday morning. I agree with you. I think there's a pretty hard line between 3 and the rest of the class here. What's interesting to me, though, in this weight class is Bricky and Signorelli from Jesuit. I think John O and Tommy are telling those guys, you got to come back and get to that 3rd, 4th place match, because that's a lot of points. And I really think 4 through 8, 4 through 9 in this weight class are capable of beating each other any day. So there's a lot of points at 144 that are going to be up for grabs, right, in those wrestlebacks. I feel like that's going to be a big deal with this team race.
Yeah. And look, for me, man, I really feel McDermott is going to come out and perform like he's expected to. He knows his team's going to need those points right there. I mean, if he can flip the switch, which I believe he can, that takes Brother Martin from 83 to 86 points in our projections and puts them right there. So I kind of see the seniors stepping up there. At 150, Morse, who was considering battling Christian Scott once again at 157, I think he made a very wise decision going down to 150. He had a win over Josh Lara in the dual meet, who's seated 2nd. Then you've got Gary from Southside, Blentz from Airline, Stricker from Jesuit, David from Acadiana, Stan of Fontainebleau, and Scarpelli of St. Paul's. Man, Gary impressed us in the public school finals with his athleticism. Paul, you're familiar with both Morse and Lara. What is that matchup like for those 2 guys if they're able to get there?
If they're able to get there, it's going to be on their feet. Morse is not picking bottom, and he's not riding on top. Lara tends to start slow in the match. So I could see it, first period 0-0. It'd be interesting. I think in that match, who gets the first takedown? I think whoever wins that match is going to be the guy who scores the first takedown there, just because they're both neutral, hand fight, snap, not a ton of go-to offense. I think Stricker at Jesuit is an absolute bracket buster there. I really like his gas tank. He's a senior. He's been here before. They're giving him the 5 seed, so why not go out and upset some people?
Yeah, hey, look, I've been very impressed with Stricker this year too, and you're right. Stricker is in a position to get to a semifinal match and give Morse pretty much, all he can handle there. Should be a very entertaining weight class. You've got 2 seniors in the first 2 seeds, so I don't expect the pressure to get to them. Someone's going to have to come out and just knock them off.
Right.
And that's not going to happen at 157. Your number 1 seed, Christian Scott of Catholic, has been simply dominant this year. Ben and I saw him take Corona for a fall in about 30 seconds in the city finals, and Corona's done a really good job this year. He's the number 2 seed. And then this guy, Knobloch from Terrebonne. Man, I've seen his name out there in a lot of these smaller tournaments this year that Terrebonne goes to. He's put together a really good year, and let's see if he can live up to that number 3 seed. I think that would go a long way for the Terrebonne program. Then you've got Brammer from Benton, Cincomato from Brother Martin, Gonzalez from Chalmette, Kazar of Fontainebleau, and Pierce of Slidell. Ben, any thoughts on this weight class?
I think 157 and 150 are both interesting because I think these are going to be the 2 weight classes where you're going to see a lot of people place who might not be in those names right there. I just feel like these 2 weight classes, Scott's been the cream of the crop at 57. I think Morse and Laura have, kind of separated themselves, Ruggieri to an extent as well. But after that, I think the whole weight class is pretty plug and play. I think there's another 4 or 5 names in each of these weight classes that could wind up on the podium. And so I think this is going to cause a little bit of havoc in this tournament because there's going to be points that we don't expect for different teams in these 2 weight classes.
All right, that takes us to 165, where you've got 2 overwhelming favorites to get there. Stewart of East Ascension, Aurelian of Jesuit, Acevedo, the 3rd seed from Sanama, O'Neill from Lafayette, Williams from Catholic, Gabber from Chalmette, Pope from Brother Martin, and Rhodes from Terrebonne. Ben, thoughts at 165?
I mean, I think everybody's 165 question is all the same, and that's what are we going to get from Aurelian? We know Isaac's hurt. I actually saw his mom in Orlando this weekend. She asked me if I was covering cheer as well as wrestling now, but they're excited that he's going to give a go at it. He's such a good wrestler. I mean, he's such a known quantity when he's healthy. It's how much is that knee going to affect him, and does it bring him down enough to where a guy like Acevedo can knock him off and upset him in the semis? I just don't know because we haven't seen him since he's been hurt.
Yeah, look, we know what a great wrestler Isaac is, and we don't bring up injuries on the show, but we saw Isaac at the Louisiana Classic. Paul loaned Isaac his knee brace. So, I mean, we know he's banged up. We knew Paul was banged up when we went out at state. I said, I'm pretty amazed by what people can do with injuries. I said, Paul, the Instagram post from the Olympic skier, Lindsey Vaughn, who 41 years old, qualified for the Olympic team, tore her ACL last week in a race, tore her meniscus, and she's racing in the Olympics. I mean, it's just
crazy.
It blew me away. It's
crazy.
I can't even fathom being able to do that. Like Paul said, getting her quad to fire a week later it's
crazy,
beyond belief. So I believe Isaac Aurelian can go out there and compete, but I agree with you 100%. Acevedo is no slouch, and that's going to be one great matchup in the semifinals. I just think anyone would be hard-pressed to take out Braylon Stewart, who we've already seen his last loss, I believe, in Louisiana. And, that takes us to 175, where, man, this matchup in the finals, was it the finals of the Classic, Ben?
Yep.
Reeves and Cohen. Okay, sometimes they kind of run together. Number 1 seed, Riley Reeves of Holy Cross, followed by Cohen of Baton Rouge High, Talbot of Southside, Caserta of Brother Martin, Bernard of Lafayette, Kurtzen of Dutchtown, McKinney of Walker, Meggs of East Ascension. Man, right here, this is where Brother Martin needs Caserta to wrestle to his seed. I don't see anyone knocking off Reeves or Cowan. Thoughts on that, Ben?
I agree. I think Reeves and Cowan are just really far ahead from the rest of this class. I think this is a lot like 150 and 157, where it's very hard to predict how this is going to shake out 3 through 8. And I think there are guys that are not on this list that are going to play a factor coming to the podium on Saturday night.
Yeah, Paul, thoughts on Caserta and being able to come in and get on that podium in the 4th spot?
I mean, if you're the Brother Martin team, you have to have it, like you said. I mean, he's got to make the semifinals. You got to get those advancement points. And then if he wrestles Reeves and takes an L, you have to come back and wrestle for 3rd and 4th. I mean, it's one of those things, like all the 4 and 5 seeds for Brother Martin, Jesuit, Catholic, Holy Cross, you have to wrestle to the semis. You got to get there.
Yeah. 190. Now, this is where I believe the state tournament is going to be won or lost by teams. If you look at the placements, Holy Cross, 190, 215, and 285, no one seeded. Brother Martin, no one seeded in those weight classes. Catholic has a 3 seed at 190, and they have a seed at 285. So I believe between Catholic, Holy Cross, and Brother Martin, the team that can get the most wins out of those 3 wrestlers is going to have an advantage if they can get some wins and some pins, because the Blue Jays, as usual, are loaded up there. They've got the 1 seed at heavyweight. They've got the 2 seed at 190, and they've got a 5 seed at 215. So for me, between Catholic, Brother Martin, and Holy Cross, if you go back after this tournament and look at those weight classes, I think you're going to find the team that won this is if it's one of those 3, is the team that scored the most points combined at those 3. You guys agree or disagree?
100%.
Agreed. 100%.
And Jesuit is going to score bonuses. I mean, Jesuit's going to score bonuses at these 3 weight classes. So this is where the bulk of their points are going to come from. And it's, like you said, not surprising. They do this every year. John and Paul do a great job with their uppers. So they're gonna rack up points here. I think I'm with you, Robbie. Like, of the other 3 teams, who can score points in these weight classes is going to make a big difference.
Yeah, and then look, if you go back, if you're looking at the Jays, let's go to 106, 113, and 120. How many points can they get down there? Well, we know they're going to get points at 120. On that one. 106, 113, and 132. How many points can they get there? Or one of those other weight classes where they were not seated at. For Jesuit, it would be 132 or 138, So I think it's going to be key for these top weight classes. Charlotte in the Terminator in the semifinals. I mean, hey, I say we put a couple of benches on each side. You got to pump out 10 reps with about 280, or I don't know how much they left, but you got Charlotte as 1, Anderson, who's been very consistent at 2, Robin from Catholic 3, Pearson from Santa Ma, the Terminator 4, Kinley of Bird 5, Treadway of Covington 6, Russell of Destrehan 7, LaBeouf of HL Bourgeois 8. So let's jump to 215. In our 215-pound weight class, we've got Edmondson of Live Oak, Martinez of St. Paul's, Oles of Acadiana, Stewart of Destrehan, Vargas of Jesuit, Dupin of Santa Ma, Desportes of Fontainebleau, and Ricks of Walker. And, man, I the semifinal match between Martinez and Oles, who I both expect to get there, I think that's going to be a good match. Martinez is a bull out there. Oles, very experienced wrestler. Ben, what do you think about that one?
Yeah, I mean, look, that was a really good match. So was the Martinez Edmondson match at the Classic. I look at Vargas here. He's a guy that I think he can get past Stewart from Dutchtown in the quarters, especially if Jesuit's got a little momentum going into Friday night. And so that makes a very interesting matchup if he does get past Stewart with him and Edmondson on Saturday morning in the semis. Because Billy's been great. We've been there before when the Jays start rolling in the semis. It makes it extra tough on those 1 seeds.
It does. It does. And look, Edmondson has been just a rock out there this year. I don't expect him to get flustered, but if he's got Jesuit in that semifinal match and they've got some momentum going, could be big crowd factor there. And that takes us to heavyweight 285. It's like death and taxes. A number 1 seed from Jesuit, Barry, the guy who's going to Princeton to play football, number 1 seed. He looks like he's getting better and better. But dude, 2 and 3 are both excellent wrestlers. Anderson of Baton Rouge High. God, so man, this kid's a freshman. You better beat him now. You better beat him now. And just, watching how emotional he gets in these close matches with Anderson, I don't know, man. I think his time might be coming. He might have an answer for him here.
And he also had beaten Anderson a couple times early in the year. I mean, he was 2-0 against him early on. Anderson's gotten the best of him the last few times. Anderson's got a huge advantage in that match with Gatto because he's so tall, right? We talked about it in the city finals in Baton Rouge. Gatto's having to reach up the entire time to wrestle Anderson. Can they figure out a way? Can his dad and his other coaches figure out a strategy to beat Anderson while keeping Gatto balanced? I think that's going to be the key to that match. And then, I don't think he gets past Barry in the semis, but Hollis from Slidell is a really good wrestler.
He is.
I think in those wrestlebacks, he's going to make a lot of noise as well. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, and then you got Escuda of Terrebonne, Kelly of EA, Holmes of Woodlawn, Mock, right? Mook.
And you got to watch that. Didn't Mook beat Barry?
No. He beat the second string guy for Jesuit.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's one there. Can Mook jump up? He's going to have to beat Escuda of Terrebonne to jump into that place match. To me, that seems like it could be a possibility. That'll be a big one for Catholic because, hey, you don't see a Brother Martin or Holy Cross guy there. Each of those schools is going to need their heavyweight to get a couple of wins. And it's likely to be pins if they're going to get a win. So let's take a quick commercial break, and we're going to be back with our Division II seeds and breakdown.
If you think about measurement, it's all around us. Michelle really is about showing the world what measurement can do. We're involved with ensuring any type of measurement device is always accurate. With our business starting in 1947, since then we've grown pretty significantly. We're operating in 12 different states, and we have near-term plans to grow that very aggressively. We're on our way.
We are your neighbors.
We're your sons and daughters.
We're learning valuable life and job skills.
We're getting an education and earning degrees and certifications.
We are proud to serve.
We are Louisiana.
We are your Louisiana Army National Guard.
Learn more about part-time service at nationalguard.com/LA.
All right, and welcome back to Louisiana Wrestling Now. I'm Robbie Dauterive, joined by Ben DiPalma and Paul Klein, and we're now going to jump into Division II. And, guys, I'll tell you this right now. I was a little surprised when I got these seeds and I broke down the placement points. I thought St. Thomas More would be going into this as a favorite. And, man, North DeSoto with a bunch of number one seeds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 number one seeds as we go through the bracket, and a couple of guys in there that, man, really could wreck the bracket and win the bracket that they're in. So let's kind of talk about the seeds. St. Thomas More is seeded to have 10 place finishers and score 101 points. North DeSoto is seeded to have 9 place finishers and 115 points. Turling's Catholic, don't sleep on these guys. They're seeded to have 12 place finishers and 94 points. And you know they're getting bonus points all the way through at 126. And then the Rummel Raiders from Metri, 92 points, and they're seeded to have 8 place finishers. So let's look at the seeds. 106, you got Rain, the number one seed, Leonard's. Then you got Coleman of Sam Houston, Hay of New Orleans Military Academy, Cadella of Archbishop Rummel, Bel Air of Turlings, Hong of Archbishop Hannon, Hoover of Prairieville, and Romero of North Vermilion. So good, tough weight class there at 126. At least we got a bunch of kids with some good records. Looks like they've wrestled a lot of matches this year. And that's going to take us to our 113-pound weight class. At 113, here's our first North DeSoto wrestler, Cy Stout. He's 22-1 on the year. He's your number one seed. And he's followed by John Thiel of Archbishop Rummel, Cody Hippolyte of Karen Crow. Ben, we've been impressed with Hippolyte all year, man. He's a kid, super quick, doesn't stop wrestling. What do you think about these top three? Because Thiel's the guy, man, who came out of nowhere and made the Louisiana Classic finals.
Yeah, that'll be a fun semifinal. Thiel and Hippolyte. I mean, you know, Thiel kind of came out of nowhere. Hippolyte, we've seen all year. I think that's a good matchup. Thiel's real long. Hippolyte's a super athlete. That'll be fun to watch. And then also look at number 4, Eden Wynn from New Orleans Military Academy. He's 20-2. He's got a bunch of really good wins on the year. I was watching him when I was helping seed the 113 Division I. His name kept popping up as beating people. So that ought to be a fun weight class to watch.
Yeah, you know, I'm going to go ahead and throw Cody Hippolyte out there right now. That I think he's going to put it all together at the state tournament. And unfortunately, I'm not really familiar with the North DeSoto guys simply because I just haven't had a chance to watch them this year. And you know what? I don't blame what Coach Burton said. Hey, I'm 3.5 hours from Oklahoma, 3.5 hours, 4 hours from New Orleans. Why not go up to Oklahoma and get your matches? I don't see any issue with that at all. I would have loved to have seen them at the Louisiana Classic, though. Paul, what do you think about them skipping the Classic?
I always think they should wrestle in the Classic, but I get it. They did just wrestle the Louisiana State Duels, 2 weeks before?
And Ken Cole.
And Ken Cole. So it's not like they didn't try to wrestle in state. I think maybe next year they could have picked one and then done the Classic as well, just because they're, especially this team they got this year, it looks like they were carrying a great team. So it would have been interesting to have them in the mix at the Classic.
Yeah. 120-pound weight class. You got your number one seed, Landon Monica of Archbishop Rummel, followed by Shaw's Jaden Jameson, then Antonio Femmer of St. Thomas More, Andrew Saunier of Turlings, Aiden Detradad of New Orleans Military Academy, Nathan Martin of St. Martinville?
St. Michael.
St. Michael. And then Rylan Bowers of Ben?
That is, hold on, I got it on the tip of my tongue. Bell Chase.
Bell Chase, there we go. We got to get our abbreviations down here. And then Ernest Shreve of Rain. There's a sleeper in this weight class. I don't know if he's much of a sleeper, but he's from North DeSoto, and his name is Sage Stout. He's 6-1 on the year. I have been told by people on the seating committee they wanted to try to seed him. He probably is going to give someone a real headache if he falls in your way on the bracket. I think a lot of people out there are keeping their fingers crossed, and this is going to be one of those draws when they hit draw on track People are going to be looking right away to find out where he fell. So we'll see. At 126, and I'm gonna talk about this now. I believe Alex is our only wrestler in the tournament going for his 4th state title this year. Am I correct? I think so. I'm begging everyone out there watching, can we please become a wrestling state and get on our feet and give a 4-time champion the ovation that he deserves? Okay.
Stop the matches.
Yeah, my man in the bottom corner, hey, I understand you didn't like that we were kicking your butts every year and we won 4 state championships in a row and Paul won his 4th title, but he didn't get a standing ovation from the entire arena. Neither did Steven Shields, neither did our airline wrestler, name quick.
Ernie Perry,
who wrestled for Cornell the other night in the starting lineup. Ernie Perry, and then Richie Clemente. Come on, Louisiana. Get up and give this kid the ovation he deserves. Any 4-time state champion moving forward deserves it. And I'll tell you what, Alex is going to have a good match in the finals as far as going to have a kid who's been a state champion and he's been competitive. Kale Muscarello from Shaw, Josh Guman of Rummel, the 3rd seed, Bell Chase, Evan Shepard, Shep Bomber of St. Thomas More, Ryan Gibbs of CAMA. Hit it, Ben.
I'm stumped on that one. I'll have to look that one up.
All right. And then Jaden Locke of North DeSoto and Jake Volts of Archbishop Hannon. And look, that takes us to 132, where we've got a guy who's been simply dominant at 132, 46-1 on the year, Foster Peterson of St. Thomas More. So, man, 26, overwhelming favorite, Alex Rosas, followed by another overwhelming favorite, Foster Peterson. And he's going to be, number 2 seed's going to be Richard, and then Locke from North DeSoto, Watson from Turlings, Adams from Shaw, Dominique from Rummel, Murray from New Orleans Military Academy, and Zavella Torres from Kenner Discovery. Dan Irwin will be proud of him for coming up with that abbreviation right there. So, look, I think right here, man, Locke from North DeSoto, a win over Cooper in that semifinal could go a long way. And you got to figure, Locke's got many of those 11 losses to Oklahoma and Texas kids. So that should be a battle to see who gets to face Foster Peterson. Speaking of overwhelming favorites, we got another one at 138. Jacob Kershaw, 41-2 on the year. He's been doing it for 4 years for North DeSoto. He's going to have Parker Richard of Como, James Treadway. Here's another one that I see with Treadway against Richard. That's a big match there. Big team points available, followed by Sebastian Clark of Turlings, Cohen Luke of Vermilion Catholic, Ryan Mitchell, Alex Wen of New Orleans Military Academy, and Josiah Rochelle of Bossier. Any thoughts there? Paul, you familiar with Jacob Kershaw and his career?
Yeah, he's great to watch. I mean, I watched him bump. They wrestled Jesuit at the Louisiana State Duels. I believe he bumped up to 150 maybe, way above his weight. And, I mean, he teched the guy, and he was just throwing everything at him. He's got a ton of arsenal, high-level wrestler. Good guy.
Jacob Kershaw can wrestle. And speaking of Jacob Kershaw can wrestle, his only loss this year in Louisiana is to a guy who can really wrestle at 144, Jonas Rebstock, 52-4, a loss in Texas, a couple of few losses to Ozias. Jonas, defending state champ, made the jump from 26 to 44. It's going to be an overwhelming favorite there, but I'll tell you what, Benjamin Ebling of Bruley, we saw him in City. He can go. And he's going to have Bryce Chambers of North DeSoto in the semifinals. Jalen James of Bossier is the 4 seed. Gavin Stevens of Sam Houston is the 5th. Another Turlings guy in there, Cale Lassine, 22-13 on the year at 6 seed. Liam Ferguson, and then Liam Ferguson of Bell Chase, and then Cameron Riley of
St. Aug.
St. Aug. All right. And I did see that Jim Ballantyne was named head wrestling coach at St. Aug. So it's great to see St. Aug, right in my neighborhood here, has got a head wrestling coach.
And to reference back, I think CAMA is Caddo Magnet.
There we go, Caddo Magnet. I can't believe I didn't know that. You know, I tell you a Caddo Magnet story. My teammate, I had graduated 1985. My teammate was undefeated, lost in the first round of state to a kid from Caddo Magnet named Nelson Martinez. And my teammate, Shannon Marks, came all the way back after getting upset in that first round and beat Nelson Martinez for 3rd and 4th place, which is pretty incredible when you number 1 seed and you get crushed in the first round. And I think you guys out there need to keep that in mind because everybody's not making the finals. All right, Ben, if you can take us through 150.
Yeah, 50. Another guy we saw in the Baton Rouge City Finals, Dylan Ricks of Bruley. Gage Ayerson, he's been good all year for Rummel. Landon Landry of Rain, William Jewell of Turlings, David Ardwin of Sam Houston, Mason Geo of Bell Chase, Andrew Robichaud of Edie White, and then rounding it out is Aiden Babin of Kenner Discovery.
Yeah, so what a weight class shift here. Rummel moving Dominic Durham to 57 and moving Ayerson from 44 where, hey, you're going to get second to Rebstock or maybe go up. Iosson's been tough this year. Anything you guys see in there?
Yeah, I think Ayerson and Dylan Ricks is going to be an interesting final.
Yeah.
A lot of matches between the two.
Yeah. So, Ben, 157?
157, Dominic Durham. We've had him on the show this year for Rummel. The junior is going to come in with 49 wins and 4 losses. And in 2nd seed is going to be Enzo Lopez, who we've seen a lot of this year from St. Thomas More, followed by Noah Maha of Turlings, Evan Arsenault of Vanderbilt Catholic, Jose Argnell of Como, Nicholas Caradinas of Kenner Discovery, followed by Easton Hudson of Sam Houston, and rounding us out at number 8 from Bruley is Joseph Robichaud.
So after seeing Enzo against Noah Maha at the dual meet, I would think Enzo's a pretty overwhelming favorite here in this semifinal match, and I think that's going to set up a really good match with Dominic Durham in the state finals for Division II at 157.
All right, jumping to 165 from North DeSoto, another one of those number 1 seeds, William Erdelak. He's going to be followed from Sam Houston, Harrison Hudson, and then Archbishop Hannon coming in at number 3, Connor Frazier. We have Gage Farmer of North Vermilion at 4, Gannon Sheffield from St. Thomas More, the 5th seed, Ashton Boudreau of Rummel at the 6th seed, Caleb Saunier from Turlings, always a Saunier in the Turlings Catholic lineup, and then finally from Karen Crow at the 8th seed, Jamiric Chason.
All right, this is one of those weight classes where I don't have much for you here. Really not familiar with a lot of these guys. I haven't seen North DeSoto and Sam Houston. I've seen a little bit of Gannon Sheffield from St. Thomas More. I would think him and Saunier need to make the jump from 5 and 7 all the way up to at least 3 and 4 to keep their teams in the team race.
Yeah, and then you got the Rummel kid, only 3 and 2. So
yeah,
looks like he might be coming back from an injury or something.
All right, 175, another 1 seed from North DeSoto, Andrew Arinder, 17 and 2 on the year. He's actually got the 1 seed over the Zach Sestia, who was the champion of Classic, right? So yes. Sestia, who we kind of penciled in all year as the big-time favorite in this weight class for Division II. He's going to have the 2 seed. And that 3 seed, his semifinal matchup, if they make it, will be Noah Yonker of Archbishop Hannon, Evan Poole of Bruley at 4, Jack Falgu of Vanderbilt Catholic in 5th. From Turlings Catholic, Elliot Talley. From Rummel, Alex Hernandez. And then rounding out the top 8, Donovan Paul of Sam Houston.
Yeah, look, with Sestia, kid goes. And I'm looking forward to seeing that match.
Yeah, I want to go back. As soon as we're done here, I'm going to go back and look because they dueled each other in the state duels. So I wonder if this match has already happened.
Yeah, might have.
Yeah. All right, going to 190, Carter Maha, who's been there before. He'll be the 1 seed from Turlings Catholic, and his 2 will be Jules Desatel. At 3, from Belle Chase, Cruz LeBlanc. From Archbishop Hannon in the 4 seed, Ryan Rist. At the 5th seed, from Caddo Magnet, David Harold. From North DeSoto, the 6th seed, Maddox Paul. Rain comes in at number 7, Aiden Bro. And from Sam Houston, rounding out the top 8, Patrick Bloomer.
Yeah, I think right here, we watched Maha and Desatels. Desatels has gotten him once this year. Maha came back at the Classic and at the dual meet. And Maha, to me, just shows that his chain wrestling is so good and his reaction times. Desatels is so athletic and going to be so good. Can he be that good again this weekend? And I think those 2 are the overwhelming favorites to make the finals.
All right, so at 215 from Kinder Discovery, the 1 seed, Kevon Green, the senior, and his 2 seed is a guy that we do know from North DeSoto because he did really well at Classic last year, Hayden Bell. The 3 seed from Turlings Catholic, Lucas Guidry. From Prairieville, the 4 seed, Slade Moran. The 5th seed from St. Thomas More, Brendan McGill. We've seen a lot of him this year. And then from Rain, the 6th seed, always A-Bear. Best name in the whole tournament. And then at number 7, Caddo Magnet has Joshua Garcia at the 7th seed. And in the 8th seed, from Karen Crow, Gavin Joseph.
Well, Hayden Bell,
Hayden Bell's good.
Hayden Bell's good. I know Kevon Green is definitely coming back from a little shoulder issue earlier in the year. I think he's going to have his hands full with Hayden Bell.
I'm just telling you right now, I'm pulling for always A-Bear the entire time.
I think so too. That's a no-brainer.
My favorite name I've ever seen. All right.
I think go ahead, 285.
285. All right, it's getting late. From North DeSoto, another one of those 1 seeds, Kay Tinsley, senior, comes in with a record of 27-14. Rummel beat the 2 seed, Dominic DiGiovanni. The 3 seed from Karen Crow, Kyman George. The 4 seed from Bruley, Peyton Quatreviet. We'll go with that. The 5th seed from Plaquemine, Tristan Thompson. Como, your 6th seed, Madden Crater. From Bossier, your 7th seed, Jeshua Lugo. And then finally, our 8th seed from Rain, Rondell Johnson.
All right. I don't have a whole lot here at heavyweight. I know Paul doesn't either. Ben, you got anything at heavyweight?
I mean, I've seen DiGiovanni wrestle earlier this year. Pretty good, big guy, really big kid. But I have not. I mean, I haven't even seen the Bruley heavyweight yet this year. So it'll be actually. No, I did see him. He wrestled in City at the. I think he was in the 5th, 6th place match. So, kind of open here. I think at heavy.
Yeah. Look, just like in Division I, Division II is going to be a 4-team race. North DeSoto comes in as the favorite on paper. St. Thomas More, second. Turlings Catholic, who's won 11 state titles in the last 13, 14 years, whatever it's been, they're not going away quietly. They're going to have a crowd there. And Archbishop Rummel, man, who's wrestled very well and impressed us a lot this year. These 4 teams are going to battle. I think this is going to be the biggest, most exciting team races in Divisions 1 and 2 as we've had in a long time. So want to thank you guys. If you're tuning in looking for Division 3 seeds, I'll be honest with you, we just don't know enough about all the guys in Division 3 to do it justice. Our girls division, I'm going to throw out a shameless plug right now. I've had people contact me. Where are the girls? Let's talk about the girls just for a second. This year, Varsity Sports Now gave coverage for the girls in the public school championships. We broadcast the finals. I couldn't have been more impressed with the heart and just the toughness of the young ladies out there. We broadcast the Pearl River Mandeville match after the Mandeville Kenner Discovery boys match. Next year, we plan on branching out. We'll need 14 weight class sponsors, a couple to 3 title sponsors, and we will get announcers, and we will dedicate a couple of shows every year on Louisiana Wrestling Now to cover our girls. And we want to do it. If you follow varsity sports now, you have to be aware of the outstanding coverage we give girls soccer and most girls volleyball. So we've got the resources to do it. We need sponsors. Hit Ben and I up at the state tournament. Hit us up after the season. We'll be back with our special guest from Army National Guard, Chris McElrath. We'll see you after this commercial break.
We are your neighbors.
We're your sons and daughters.
We're learning valuable life and job skills.
We're getting an education and earning degrees and certifications.
We are proud to serve.
We are Louisiana.
We are your Louisiana Army National Guard.
Learn more about part-time service at nationalguard.com/LA.
If you think about measurement, it's all around us. Michelle really is about showing the world what measurement can do. We're involved with ensuring any type of measurement device is always accurate. With our business starting in 1947, since then we've grown pretty significantly. We're operating in 12 different states, and we have near-term plans to grow that very aggressively. We're on our way.
And welcome back to Louisiana Wrestling Now. I'm joined by Lieutenant Colonel Chris McElrath, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it because I know Paul Klein's going to argue this, but one of my favorite wrestlers ever at Brother Martin High School. Chris, man, how's it going?
It's great. It's good. It's good to be here, Coach. Thanks for having me.
Look, the Army National Guard, with your recommendation, agreed to sponsor the show this year, and we could not have done all of this without you guys. And we need you guys in the future, and I wanted to have you on, man. You are a 3-time state finalist at Brother Martin. You were a state champion. You were a West Point graduate in 07. 2 tours of duty in the Second Gulf War, and now you're the deputy commander in New Orleans of the Army National Guard. And dude, I could not be prouder of you. What has this whole journey for you been like?
Oh, look, it's it's hard to put into words. I stumbled upon this, and it was all because of the sport of wrestling. And throughout my 24 years so far, I've never met somebody in the military that was a wrestler that was not successful in what we did. Everything that you learn on the mat translates to the military, to all the branches, and it's been pretty awesome. And you know, I'm always being in Louisiana again. I do my best and I try my hardest to get involved in the wrestling community. I can't wait to be in it full time at some point, but. You know, if all I can really provide for the community is a sponsorship, just to talk about my journey and how wrestling and the military, or the National Guard specifically, correlates. And you know, by all means, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, look, over the past couple of years, I've known of more than a couple of state finalists who were like, no, I'm not going to wrestle in college. I'm joining the reserve. I'm joining the Guard. Ben and I were super impressed this year with the 215-pounder from Live Oak who, hey, we interviewed him. He said, no, Coach, I'm going right to the Marines. I'm going right to the Marines. And what can the military do for a kid who doesn't want to take out student loans, or hey, just doesn't have that desire right now to go to college, but might get it later? What can the Guard do for a kid like that?
So the Guard specifically, and this is why I wanted to get a chance to talk to Louisiana wrestlers. The Guard specifically can send any young man to any state college completely free. And what you do is you're part of our organization. You're part of the National Guard. You get some training. And all the while and it's hard to tell a high school kid this right now, but you get some of the best health insurance at a quarter of the price of what your parents are paying. Access to life insurance. When other jobs shut down because there's a storm, we're out there constantly on orders, serving our community. But more than that, just kind of everything in the military that we do has a leadership aspect to it. And that's why wrestlers always gravitate in the military. And so that's kind of real world experience that they can take and wrap into their resume when they start applying for other jobs right out of college.
Yeah, and the benefits seem to be, and eventually, like you stay in long enough, you retire with a pension.
Yeah.
How long do you have to be in the Guard or Army and then transition over to retire with a pension?
So it's 20 years. You can obviously stay longer and keep building that pension up. There's a difference between the Guard pension if you're once a month or if you're an active duty AGR guardsman, depending on when, if you're once a month, we call that M Day, they pull it at the age of 60. But all the while, every time you volunteer or you're out there serving your community and drilling, it keeps on building that pension up. And that's another big thing that we have. There's not many companies that have that. We also have the government's version of the 401k, which is the thrift savings plan. So the benefits alone is more than worth it. Once a month, 2 weeks out of the summer, you can be as involved as you want to be.
And you set yourself up for life. I mean, seriously, after putting that time in, I think now the big worry is, I know for me, one of the reasons I knew I had to get out of teaching was for the fact that, hey, I needed some sort of retirement. And, thank goodness I've been able to do that. I want to talk a little bit more about you, though, and your teammate, Patrick Mitchell, because you two dudes, man, really set the tone for what I was trying to do at Brother Martin in the late 90s. And then when Kenny took you guys in the 2000s, you guys were the consummate, just hard-nosed, tough kids. Sometimes a bit too tough. I look over to the other side of the room and Patrick had a kid by his neck up against the wall. But you guys, man, you were two sport athletes. You a running back for Brother Martin Crusaders, Patrick Mitchell, a defensive back, and then you guys rolled into wrestling season and just did such a great job for us. And there's so many Chris McKellar stories I can tell, not too many on the air, but one that I can really tell is this, and I want our audience out there to know this, just how much I respect this dude. I remember a call I got from you after West Point, in between one of your tours, and I'm not embellishing this at all. Coach, this is great, man. I want to be the guy on the team who kicks in the door. This is house-to-house combat. I want to be the guy who kicks in the door and goes in first. I was like, Chris, how about being the guy who tells the guy to kick in the door and go in and handle the enemy? True story, right, Chris?
Yeah, look, if you ask me that same thing right now, I would have a different mentality. So I was young and full of vinegar, I guess you would say.
But you were young and full of vinegar, but man, you just don't get that. You got that from wrestling and football and the way you were brought up and being a hard-nosed guy. And I can't tell you how much respect I have for you and Patrick and everyone out there who served in our military. Look, while you guys were serving back in the 80s, I was doing 10 years of college. It was quite difficult for me then. But just so much respect for you guys. Ben, you got a couple of questions for Chris?
Yeah, Chris, the only thing I'd ask is we got a lot of young guys that watch this show. If there's a junior or senior out there that's thinking about potentially a career in the National Guard, what things can they do now in their junior or senior year to start getting information and to start preparing for that?
Well, to start preparing, I'm pretty comfortable saying if you've gone through the journey of wrestling, you're prepared. And that's kind of why I've been pushing to sponsor something like this or any other wrestling tournament. The work ethic, the discipline, the mission oriented, goal oriented. Those are the types of people that just thrive in the environment. We have a very dynamic environment where we need some quick decision makers that are comfortable being uncomfortable, right? And that's this community. So as far as preparation, I would say they have it already. That's why I would love to engage with anybody. There's recruiter offices all over the state, but the quickest and easiest way, if they contact you, you can get my number from Robbie. I'm happy sharing it with anybody who subscribes to this channel. I'm happy to talk about my journey. If any ladies or gentlemen are interested in the West Point route, I'm an alumni volunteer in the New Orleans district for that. There's so many different ways to serve. I have kind of a unique journey and how I ended up back in Louisiana. I love everything about it. Happy to talk any route they want to take, even if it's the Navy, Marines, Air Force. It's a shame if every organization is not trying to target the wrestling community to be a part of their team, because that is the target audience.
Yeah. So Chris, man, thank you. All of our sponsors this year have just been you guys make this show possible. We're honored to be in business with the Army National Guard. We look forward to continuing that in the future. For all our wrestling fans out there, follow us all weekend. Live reports Friday and Saturday on Varsity Sports Now. We will have a wrap-up show probably a week after the state tournament. We'll let Mardi Gras kind of find its way, and then we'll have our wrap-up show about a week later. But for everybody out there, this is Robbie Dauterive saying goodnight for Ben Palmer and Chris McElrath, and we'll see you guys at the state tournament.